Hey everyone, today we have a motor rake, which is a interesting way. Let's lower this so we can all see it easier. It's an easier way of saying either a power rake or dethatcher, whatever the correct term is. The interesting part about this one is it's probably gonna stay at my house. So I'm hoping to get it running. A couple things I noticed: it has a Briggs 5-horse. It's the cast iron sleeve, which I'm pretty sure they all have, or at least the majority of them have. I looked at the teeth. The teeth appear to be there, with the exception of like one. Sometimes you get these and all the teeth are broken off. You can replace them by buying a whole new set or just add to them. Thing I don't know about is behind this cover there's a belt that, and this lovely paint, but there's a belt that's driving all the motion, and I don't know if there's a pulley that is stuck or if it's just when the engine's running, the tines are running. So I'm going to take off this before we start, just so I can have a little knowledge on it. 99% sure when it's running, the tines are running. I mean, this isn't exactly the most elaborate of models, but I'm not a professional. I'm not going to use this all that often. Well, maybe, but yeah. After that, we'll look at the engine. I can tell you that it has compression. I didn't check the oil yet, though. Wow, the oil is in there and it's clean. Interesting. So the 4 or 5 people who have ever seen my lawn videos will know that I have a converted Mantis. That when you buy a Mantis, you can buy a kit that just slides over or replaces the tines, and it has like these teeth on the bottom that just kind of rip and claw. Very similar to this, except it's more of a rake. You know, those old style metal rakes? That's exactly what those are. It just does it very, very repeatedly, and it does a pretty good job. I just don't know. I mean, you really have to go over a couple times, so it's not like a quick thing, and it's a workout. This will be nice because it'd be a couple steps above mowing my lawn. Okay, so this is what I was wondering about right here. Is if this moves. The belt obviously has a few issues. Let's go ahead and scrape off some of this. I'm pretty sure we're just going to see that it's bolted in place, and it's just is going to have to run when the engine's running. Yeah, that's exactly what it does. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't have to free anything up beforehand, but man, that would be nice if I didn't have to do that. What else do we have here? Nope, those are straight up just like 1/4-inch tubes welded to a plate, and then in between there is the mount for this, which is also welded in and then bolted onto the body. So if we did want to do something like that, we would have to make it ourselves, and there's really not a whole lot of room here for that, so I'm not going to even go down that road. I'm probably just going to apologize in advance. I know this is going to be loud. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be hitting the table because there's a handle here. And it moves the whole machine up and down. I believe That's when the tines touch. Because when I fill the tines, they're like about an inch away from the actual table. Unless one's a low dangler. Not that that's a bad thing, I suppose. Filter isn't horrible, but we'll replace it. Oh yeah, we need to look at the fuel tank. Does it even have fuel? It does have fuel. It also has a spongy material in there to prevent splashing. So that tells me that it will have a decent amount of vibration. But that is to be expected. I'm not gonna test spark. Pretty sure everyone knows my opinion on that. The good thing is these little knobs are not frozen shut. You know what? I'm not even gonna do anything. I'm just gonna give it a pull and see what happens. It's on choke. Oh yeah, hear that. Okay, yeah, well, just what we had thought. Maybe if I kept pulling and pulling and pulling, something would happen, but I'm not willing to take that chance. Put a little assistance in there. Okay, there you have it. So something to consider. This engine, or this carb in particular, does need a little bowl to be filled in order for it to draw fuel. And in order for it to draw fuel, it needs to have gone through a couple engine cycles. Sometimes starting it up a little bit will get it to the point when it actually drawed enough fuel and put into the little bowl. Or drew up, not drawed. What was it? My 5? Let's try that again. Yeah, no, we're gonna need a little cleaning. So both unfortunately and fortunately for you, you're gonna have a little bit of a better view than I am just based on how this engine is placed. I suppose I could go on the other side. But no, I like to make things difficult. I looked at the grease fitting over here and it appears to have semi-recent grease on it too. I don't know if that was someone's poor attempt to try to get a noise to go away or if it was legitimately properly serviced. I mean, none would really surprise me. So the correct way of doing this is to take it off and clean it, which is probably what I should do. Okay, don't try to cheap out. Okay, you talked me into it. While we are doing this, I'll explain the other option that I was thinking about over here. Let's give you a little better view. Behind this plate is a diaphragm that is usually the culprit of why this isn't working. And if I can get the right bit, that would be amazing. But anyway, and what that diaphragm does is it's like a fuel pump. And it pumps the fuel from the bottom of the tank through the center of the carb and into this little reservoir that the jet then pulls from. Well, that diaphragm is ripped, stuck, dirty. Ethanol will chew through that pretty easily. Stiff. Maybe the spring just completely fell out because there's a spring in there. The pulsing of the engine will suck it in, and then the spring pushes it back out, causing it to have that pumping ability. Now, when you do this, you're going to want to get a kit for it because there's a gasket that this sits on a tank. That gasket usually doesn't like to come off in one piece. Usually it likes to come off half on the carb and half on the tank. When it does that, you can potentially try to save it and just put it on there and just kind of hope for the best. That, however, is not the best way of doing this, because taking this carb off of the tank to then having to, let's say it leaks. If you try to take it off, it's a real pain because of how it's bolted to the intake. So you have to take it off again, clean it, and put on the new carb. So you really run the risk of having to do this at least twice. Now, if that doesn't bother you, then go right ahead. I personally do not like doing this twice. Now, the old ones of this, they were even worse. That was a whole different level of aggravation. Because what ended up happening was the 3/8 bolt that you use to attach in here was a whole lot closer to the intake, so it was really difficult to get like a wrench in there. You're pretty much just turning it, not even a quarter. So what is this, has 6 sides, so you're probably turning it let's say a fifth of the time every time. And because you're not doing a 6, you're just doing a little bit more. Now you also can't always just put your wrench in the same position as it was before. You have to flip it around, so it's just a whole lot of annoying work. Now pay attention to how this is oriented, because this is going to be an important piece. You don't want to put it on the wrong way. I'm going to take off that throttle linkage. I'm going to take out this screw because those do like to disappear and never be found again. This one's pretty much stuck in there, so it's going to have to come out anyway. You don't want that to be sticky, because then your throttle will be sticky. That we're going to leave alone. You can take off the plastic piece, but I'm not going to. Hopefully you're able to see at least some of this. Now, with a pair of needle nose, we're going to try to take off this piece right here. It should just clip in. There we go. So now both of these throttle linkages we're just going to let chill there. I'm now going to, you can take the tank off. It might make things a little easier. I don't really like to take the tank off though. I'm just going to take off these two 3/8 bolts, and then we'll take the carb off and leave the tank alone. Let me get that loosened. Something I just noticed is this is awfully loose. I think someone might have been here before us. Whatever, that's not going to come out. So, which, you know, it is what it is, but I want to at least bring that up. That actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. But it still wasn't the most pleasurable experience in the world. Anyway, so now this is the gasket I was talking about. It's already kind of looking a little questionable. We're just going to pry up on the carb a little bit here. Did I miss a screw? It's hard when you're in the way, but I think I might have missed one in here. Oh, I did. Choke lever was hiding it. There we go. Now, I do have a kit for this. I usually keep a couple, so I'm not going to be too concerned over ruining the gasket, but if you are, you're going to want to be a little bit more gentle. There we go. There we are. So this is the cavity I was telling you about, and there is fuel, so we were not having a drainage problem in there. So at the very least we know the pump is okay, but we're still going to replace it. Let's go ahead and go to the carb station. These carbs are real simple. That's pretty hard to mess them up, but I'm sure someone could. So let's go over and how not to do that. First, what you do need to do is not lose your flathead screwdriver, like I did. Here we go. So sometimes there's a jet here, sometimes there's just a jet there. Now just take out the jet. Let's see if this is adjustable. I think it is. That's half. That's one. It's about 1 1/4. Sometimes they're not adjustable. Sometimes it's a brass fixed jet, and that's the case, and you don't really have to do a whole lot except take it out and clean out the jet. But this one I think might be a needle. That was 1 1/2 out, or 1/4. Yep. So you can tell because a fixed one wouldn't have this. This is, the more you screw it in, the more it restricts the fuel for going through. I didn't realize this was made of steel. Magnetic screwdriver is telling me it is. Anyway, so I don't think we have to take out anything else from here. We do want to take out this screw though, because we don't want to lose it. You could take off all this stuff too, and I don't really like to do that because you'll just have to put it right back on, and there's really nothing there that is going to get damaged with us cleaning it, at least not with a cleaner. I am going to also clean this though. So we're going to take, this is the screw that the throttle I told you would need to be cleaned. We're going to put that and that in there. This is just a Tecumseh bowl I use for cleaning. The carb was no good, but the bowl was just fine, and it fits a lot of the jets, so I like to put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. And if one day it rots through, then it rots through, and I'm sure I'll find another one to replace it. Random note, has anyone else installed a Nest camera system? Because if you have, do you constantly get notifications every time a car drives by? Because I sure do. This is that diaphragm I was talking about. This is supposed to be nice and soft and flexible, and as you can tell, it's None of those things. So, while it was pumping, probably it wasn't pumping very well. I'm gonna take this off though. Don't need that. I think I'm gonna try to scrape off as much of this gasket as I can. I guess I'll have to go through the same process with my doorbell, because I remember installing that first day. Oh man, every single time anyone walked by my house I was notified of it. I don't really care if my neighbor walks their dog, but thank you for letting me know, doorbell. I'm trying not to scrape the surface. I'm trying to razor as flat as I can. Obviously I scraped a little bit off there, but I'm not too concerned over that. Okay, I'm gonna put this in ultrasonic cleaner for about 15 minutes. That came off, and then we'll, ooh, look at that. Okay, well, looks like we have a little tank issue too. Now that we have that done, we're going to put it together. Now, I did find a new gasket, which I already got dirty. So I want to see if this will fit, because sometimes they have like these little pins, and this one does too. Fits like a charm. This just goes over that little plate for the controls. Very good. Now, you can buy whole kits with like 20 different gaskets, it seems like, and then you'll get like one diaphragm, and you don't know what to do with the other ones. This is what you do with the other ones. Excuse me. Now, when you put this in the ultrasonic, or if you use water or anything, you want to make sure that you are blowing through these two passageways. Because if you're not, then you will most definitely, if you have a blockage down the pickup tube, will not be clearing it. Especially since it was already kind of dirty on the end anyway. Speaking of that little cavity I was showing you earlier, I dried it out, cleaned it out. Actually didn't have any soot or anything in there, and there was about a ½ inch of fuel. So I got a pump, and I pumped out as much as I can. There still was a little bit in there, but I don't really want to take off the tank. The fuel isn't bad, it's just old. See the difference? So I'm just going to make the executive decision that if it's 80% good fuel, it's probably going to be okay. But I very well might be using this here soon, so who knows. I don't really like the fact that that's not fitting right. Let me see if I can find a different diaphragm. All the diaphragms I have that, so we're just going to continue on. This might be a different type of carburetor. But it will be held right there, and it's going to be held into place, so as long as that is happening, we should be okay. Do you ever feel like you spent half your day looking for what you just had in your hand? I don't know if that's just me or what. It's probably just a bad habit I got into, and I just have yet to break it. These do not have to be very tight at all. You just want to have a good even amount of pressure, that way you're not bowing it. Because if you are, you're definitely going to have a leak. It's going to leak down here, or most likely down here, but it's not good. Just going to walk around again, make sure it's nice and secure. That's good to go. I'm going to clean up this a little bit more later. And we have the needle. Okay, so that's all the way. So we have half, 1 1/4. Let's do a little bit more. So I'm going to put this back on the same way it just came off, and then we'll give it a try, and if it works, we'll give it a try in the backyard. One thing I do want to mention before I put it back together is before you put all these linkages on, you're going to want to put these 3/8 back into place in here and the bottom, because if you don't, you're going to take them off again just because you don't have any room to work. So I like to put the 3/8 in, then I like to put the linkages on. These linkages, however, you do need to put on first, so be aware of that one. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that completed. Okay, I got the carb on. Everything looks like it's in working order. New air filter, new plug, oil was already good and to the appropriate level. Not gonna worry about that. There is no fuel in the little bowl area, like I said, so this probably can take a little bit of pulling. If it takes more than like 4 or 5, I'm just gonna put a little down the intake. Let's see, we want full throttle, choke. Now, like I said, this is going to be loud, especially when it first starts. Let's try that again. All right, a little choke. Yeah, no, that's good and tight. I'm wondering if it's flooded. No, not at all. You know that 1 and whatever it was? Let's turn it to like 2 and whatever. That's roughly 2. Okay. No more of this. Oops, no choke. Very weird. So it's been one of those days. It's a new day, and I decided to cool off a little bit because it's irritating. Why was that not working? Came back, took the carb off, found out that apparently the one piece of debris that I accidentally put in there from the scraping of the gasket fell off in there, and I saw it sticking right out of the emulsion tube. So, excuse me, the jet. So cleaned it out, dried it out, verified the fuel's fine. We're completely dry now, so let's give it a couple more pulls and see exactly if it will turn on. So we are on fast, we are on choke. Okay, it is. I wasn't sure if I tightened the spark plug or not. I keep forgetting which one is choke and which one's a throttle. So let's do this. Well, I guess this makes sense. I didn't even think about it this way. The rotation is actually going to make it so the feet are always expanded out. That makes sense. So it's loud. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want to sleep next to it at night. But it's not too loud. So the engine's good. Just that little piece. So what do we have here? We have a full carb cleaning twice, unfortunately. New gasket, new plug, new air filter. The oil was good and full. New gas. I think the only other thing to do is give it a try. Okay, so we're in garage dog territory now. There she is smelling overgrown garden. But here we have hopefully a decent test plot. So let's give it a try. There isn't a whole lot of thatch here, but there's a whole lot of POA that's dying, so I'm going to consider that thatchy enough for me. Try no choke. Try a little choke. Okay, well, as you can tell, it works. Like I said, there isn't a whole lot of thatch, but from what I see right there, it's pretty impressive. So this is besides the belt, I think we're pretty much set. Okay, well, if you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, catch me on the next video. I'll see you later. Have a good day.